And here we are again to do another video of reacting to your guys' opinions and see if we agree or disagree with what everyone says. In the F1 community, there's just so many, opinions and stuff, and that's actually what's good about living in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You can say whatever you want, whether that be just a ridiculous, ludicrous opinion or something that you actually believe and you actually stand by. And of course, we all have our different opinions. Normally, no two opinions are the same, and in this video we are going to be reacting to it like we have done in the past. That video is called Lance Stroll is underrated, or the title is anyways, and in that one we go into 8 scenarios where again we have reached out on Twitter and got your guys' opinions and just agreed with reacted to them in our way, agree or disagree. And obviously, as we've just said there, it's our opinion, so I've had my opinion and Jordan has had his, and of course there's so many more opinions out there, so we put out again on Twitter, and obviously some of you guys have given us your opinions. So firstly, before we get into the video, thank you very much for that. We will be making more of these videos as well to react to your guys' opinions, so keep them coming in, we do really appreciate that. We've picked 6 of the best for today's episode. If you haven't been selected, please don't feel discouraged. Just keep pumping them in. As I say, we've got more videos coming where we will be doing more of these agree or disagreeing. Anyways, so we're going to start with our first agree or disagree opinion, and this is a real humdinger. It comes in from Kids Love F1, and he says Max Verstappen is better than Charles Leclerc. Oof. Now, wow. Oof. That is,
wow, what a way to start off the video. Wow.
Definitely. It's not like we've never heard that one before. We've heard that one before, but I don't know, we've got to kind of look in and say what we actually think now. So obviously we've got agree or disagree little homemade boards, and we're going to hold them up to the camera. My opinion right now for the 2020 season, or what should be, I'm going to say agree. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to disagree.
A few years ago, possibly not. Obviously, of course, Charles Leclerc wasn't in Formula 1 as long as Max was. Max, has brought massive hype along with him all the time, and people just love him. The Orange Army, the Holland, the Dutch fans absolutely love Max Verstappen. I think after he won, his race in Spain, which definitely tipped the scales, that's when everyone was going, Max is going to win the World Championship, he's going to be better than Michael Schumacher, and it was like, okay, just calm down, no he's not. He's going to win World Championships, possibly. You can't say he's going to, and he might do well, but he's obviously not going to do that, especially not after one race. That definitely happened. If he didn't win in Spain, it would have changed the dynamics for Max fans out there. I'm sorry to say, it would have, definitely. Max is a good driver, but there was always that kind of, is he mature enough? Is he strong enough to lead the team? Of course, when Daniel Ricciardo left, was he strong enough to be a leader? And obviously, remember, this is a guy who, for example, crashed into Esteban Ocon, and involved with the crash. I'm not going to get into that. But the man who, threatened to punch him, you don't really see Formula 1 drivers doing that often. I know you saw that with Michael Schumacher. I think he threatened to punch DC, but maybe a little one like that. Max shouldn't be doing something like that. Mm-hmm. So the talk was around, is he mature enough to be the leader of Red Bull? Now, I would say he's proved himself to be a stronger driver, and I'm joining in with the hype. I'm believing the hype a little bit more as it keeps going on. And Max is gonna, be a good driver, and he's gonna really shake up the F1 world. I don't think he'll take it over. I don't agree with some people out there who think he's going to be bigger than Jesus and bigger than Michael Schumacher, and he's going to beat Lewis Hamilton's record. Most likely, no, of course not. But that's the same for any driver that'll get into Formula 1. But I do think he's a very strong driver. And is he better than Charles Leclerc? Again, Charles is a good driver. He's very strong. He's very humble. He was good in that Alfa Romeo for sure. He's come to Ferrari now, of course. Well, second year with Ferrari. Last year, incredible pole positions galore. Beat Lewis Hamilton in that. Some good race wins. Again, beating his teammate Sebastian Vettel in terms of race wins. A strong driver, and obviously a very, very strong, reliable car. Probably a little bit better than the Red Bulls in terms of kind of the name of Ferrari, but now I'm believing it's more Verstappen. Out now pace, I'm saying Verstappen just because he's been in Formula 1 longer, and yeah, I feel like he is. In terms of, the Red Bull versus Ferrari, it's probably a little bit kind of, like that. Red Bull just chucking out the bag when they can do with a good result. But Max has definitely got more mature and a stronger driver in the years. So I'm saying definitely agree to that statement, Jordan. So yes, why do you think? What did you say? Disagree again?
I said disagree. Yeah,
you said disagree, right? Well, yeah. I was expecting one of us to say that.
It's good.
Yes, expect the Dutch army to really, roast you in the comment section below. No, I'm just joking. I hope not. I really hope not. I hope that there's a lot of people out there, calm heads. But I'm definitely saying agree, Jordan. So why do you think Charles Leclerc is better than Max Verstappen?
Now you're putting words into my mouth because I never said that. I never said Charles is better than Max. No, I'm saying Max is better than Charles. My explanation for why I simply disagree with this because it's simply far too early to be comparing those two drivers. They're at very different stages of their kind of career in Formula One. Max, they're both seen as essentially the next world champion, along with George Russell and Lando Norris perhaps. But these two are set to be the next Seb and Lewis, Schumacher and Mika, the two big giants of Formula One. And once Lewis and Seb decide to walk away from the sport, then these two, maybe one or two others, like I mentioned earlier, like they're going to be kind of challenging hopefully for world championships season in and season out. Max Verstappen came into the sport in 2015 with Toro Rosso at a very young age of 17 years old, making him the youngest ever Formula One driver and, to date, the youngest ever of all time and no one will ever beat them because they've changed some sort of rule. The rules might change in the next 20, 50 years, who knows? That's just an estimate, but this, but by today's rules, no one will beat that youngest starting ever on a Formula One race. Max will forever have that. So Max immediately was swept into Formula One from literally nowhere. Karts, Formula 3, Euro Formula 3, and then straight into Formula One. And it was almost like we didn't have time to process who Max actually was. We understood who his dad was. A lot of people knew Jos. Some people liked him, some people didn't. But I think that's kind of Max now. Some people like him, some people don't. You can kind of see that Max is better than his dad. But that's not the statement here. It's not is Max better than Jos? Yes. Moving on. No. And obviously Max came into Red Bull at a very weird time as well when he was him and Kvyat swapped places. And Max has been at Red Bull ever since, and there's been a lot of questions as to whether Max was actually ready for that move. Yes, he won straight away in Spain, courtesy of the two Mercedes taking each other out. But hey, he fended off his teammate, he fended off Raikkonen, he fended off Vettel to win his first ever Formula One race. And it was what an incredible achievement. I mean, what was I doing at 17, 18 year old? I was at college. What's he doing? Winning Grand Prix. That's a big difference.
I know what you were doing at 17, 18, Jordan, or maybe 18, I can't remember. Starting this monstrosity that was this show. Or I think it might have been planned at that point.
I think the seed might have been planted about then, but anyway. Yeah, to be fair, I think we're on the winner for this one in terms of race wins or creating the F1 debate.
Agreed. I agree with that.
Good. I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't for that one.
No.
But no, back onto my point, and so really what I'm trying to say is that Max has been in Formula One for a lot longer. He's essentially achieved more, and of course winning more races. Unless Charles won 2 Grand Prix so far. And bringing on to Charles, he's been in the sport since 2018. He was shafted in at Alfa Romeo for 1 season, then went straight to Ferrari. So essentially, they've had 2 very similar starts to their career. Max had 1 full season at Toro Rosso, a midfield team, 4 races with Toro Rosso in 2016, and then he was moved on to Red Bull. He was moved on to Red Bull after 4 races. Charles had 1 season at Alfa Romeo, Alfa Romeo Sauber, whatever they were called back then. And then in 2019, he went straight to Ferrari, partnered alongside Sebastian Vettel. And straight away, we were like, it was a bit of a surprise move at the time as well, because we didn't think Charles was actually going to, Ferrari were going to actually put trust in Charles. And he's impressed in his first season at Ferrari. The car was a bit bad, essentially, probably the worst car in 3 years. But still, Charles managed to win 2 Grand Prix and 7 pole positions. Could have won 3 Grand Prix if it wasn't for Bahrain, but never mind. And Austria, for that matter.
And Singapore, when he kind of gave the win to Seb, which I, a little bit elaborate on in F1 Debate 24/7 News, but,
Yeah, exactly. But obviously, it's like But like I keep saying, like it's far too early to say that who is actually better, because stat wise in Formula One it's Max, but in junior category it's Charles. Max is the only he's one of two drivers now who have yet to win a single-seater category title. Nicholas Latifi being the other one, which is something I always mention. Charles, of course, won Formula 2 in 2017, dominated his way to the title. And I think he might have won one or two more in the lower categories as well on his way up to Formula 1. Max was unbeatable in karts, went to single-seater. He didn't win anything. He lost out to Ocon in 2014 for the Euro F3 title. Came into Formula 1 and set the world alight. If Charles wins more races in a shorter space of time, is that Charles better? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's proven nothing at the end of the day. But if I was to say to you guys, who's better, Lewis or Seb? Most would say Lewis. Why? Because he's achieved more. He's more consistent. These two are Charles is consistent. So is Max. But Max at the start was all over the place. He was 1 minute he was doing really well. We were like, here's Max Verstappen. He has arrived. Next minute he's spinning his car. So he was very inconsistent until 2018, 2019 when we actually seen this is Max. But again,
I think just to quickly just to kind of confirm where I am. I think it's just Max is better than Charles at the moment just because he's been in longer. I mean, if it was kind of a season by season comparison like how they were, obviously as they say, Charles been in Formula 1 for less time, it might be like neck and neck, and that's a different story. But at the moment, Max is... Do you know what I mean? Max is better at the moment. It's not saying that Charles can't be better than him in the future. It's just at the moment, Max is better for me. But yeah, that's just kind of...
I
it's
think
not like Charles will never be better than him.
Yeah, I think it is. It is too early. I think it is still a bit too early because like I said, stat wise, it's in Max's favour. But then that's like saying, I'm trying to think. Lance Stroll is better than George Russell.
Yeah.
Because Stroll's been in Formula 1 longer. That's not necessarily true. So, you know what I mean? It's got to take time for the stats to kind of match up in performances. We've never seen Max in a title fight. We've never seen Charles in a title fight. Max could do really well and Charles may bottle it. That could make Max mentally the stronger driver, therefore the better driver. Charles might win more races, but Max might have more championships, which would make no sense. But that's my point. That's the point I'm trying to make here. That it's still too early to call for. When Lewis leaves, when Seb leaves, when those two are battling at the front, then we'll see who is the quickest driver, who's got potentially the better team around them, who's got the better mentality, who can go the longest, and mainly who can come up triumphant and win their first world championship first. Essentially. But that was a long rant. Let's move on to the next question, which kind of comes... Well, I say next question, more like statement, sorry. If I say a question, apologies. Something that we touched on earlier, so that's kind of bringing in... That's like taking a little pinch of one opinion into another one, sort of. Comes in from Charlotte Taylor, who once upon a time was our fan of the week as well. Little random fact out there. And she says, again, another good one. She says, Daniel Kvyat was dropped from Red Bull way too soon. Should have been given at least the rest of the 2016 season. Now, again, we just explained before about Max being promoted to Red Bull, Daniel being dropped. It was a bit bizarre at the time, but as we've kind of seen why that was, throughout the course of the years of obviously watching Formula 1 and understanding what the situation really was. Now, I've had my say on this before. At the time, I didn't really understand the situation, but as time went on, I've kind of seen a different light to Red Bull. I think it was probably the first kind of inkling as to what Helmut Marko was like. And I'm going to say agree. I'm going to say agree to that statement. Lyle, what are you saying?
I'm saying agree as well. Of course I am.
Of course I'm saying agree.
Thank Fiat, man. You know how I feel about him.
You go first then. You agree. Tell us why.
Well, God. Okay, so I like Max.
Yeah.
Like I've just said, I like Max. But yeah, I mean, it was a massive, just a crap storm. It really, really was. I mean, I remember watching Spain. I mean, before the Grand Prix, so don't... When you think about this move, do not think about him winning in Spain. Because remember, that did not happen. that hasn't happened yet, and it probably wouldn't have if he was in a Toro Rosso. Max Verstappen, that is, sorry. He moved. So Danny Fiat, and I've said this loads of times, honestly, we made trading places, episode 11, 4 years ago, about 2 weeks ago now, did quite well, and it was one of the videos where it was over an hour, just us ranting. It was mainly me, because I was a Fiat fan. I thought he was a good driver. 2014, so 2015 is actually on Sky Sports at the moment, the re-show on the videos, the race, sorry. And 2015 for Red Bull was terrible. Apart from Hungary, which is actually the most recent race I watched, which they both got on the podium, Danny and both Dannys. It was a good race from them, but apart from that, they had just a terrible, abysmal car, really, really bad. And even 2014 wasn't great. In 2016 started out as a good year. 2 strong drivers, Daniel Ricciardo, leader of the team, Danny Fiat, good, promising. I'm not saying it was a seven, what's he called? Weber, a 7 Weber, Mark and
It's
Seb.
been a long time, I know.
Yeah, it has been a long time. I'm not saying it was like one of them, but it was showing a lot of promise. And Danny Fiat, remember, he got that podium in China. He was up there. I think it was alongside Seb and Nico Rosberg. Sorry, obviously collided with Seb at the start, but he still got up there. And yes, the torpedo jokes are flying. But at the end of the day, he had that podium. I forgot where it was now, second or third, but he was up there. He was on the podium before Daniel Ricciardo even was, and he was higher than in the World Championship standings. Obviously after China. And round 4 into Russia, it was a good race from. It was promising that weekend. Of course, yes, he did collide with Sebastian twice. Sebastian did crash out of the race. It wasn't the best start for Danny, but it was his home race where he did okay, and obviously as a China podium before Ricciardo, before your teammate, like that should have stood so high in terms of his kudos for 2016 so far. The main thing about trading places was they just wanted Verstappen in that seat. They didn't care about Danny Fiat. And the thing is, it's like Danny Fiat was a good driver, but he wasn't as good as Ricciardo. So when that decision by Dietrich Mateschitz came around, Helmut Marko came around, it was, right, we're going to put Verstappen in this seat because you just want him right now. Who can we replace? Ricciardo? No, he's too good. Let's go with Fiat. I don't know why, and that's the thing, I just don't know why. Like, in the middle of that sentence, I'm like, I have to stop myself. I don't really know why. I don't know why it had to be Spain. I don't know why it had to be right then. That's a massive curveball. That really was just came out of absolutely nowhere. That could have won. We did you came in like a torpedo award now, 2016 debate show awards.
We did.
Highly popular. I'm surprised you didn't watch it then. I'm joking.
I'm surprised too.
Obviously, that was about to win. The only thing that just beat it was, of course, Nico Rosberg retiring later in that year. Mm-hmm. But if Nico didn't retire or that didn't happen, whatever, Trading Place would have won. That was massive news because it didn't have to happen in Spain. It didn't have to happen at all. Danny Fiat had a podium. He was having a good 2016. And the thing is as well, right, he was probably on point. He was probably on track to have a good 2016. You had a podium in China. Ahead of your teammates. Ahead of him in the World Championship. You had a podium. I'm like, there's not much to say about that. He had a podium. He was on the right track to do well. And it just all came crashing down for Danny Fiat. He was demoted in Spain in the 5th race. Just a random, just chucked it in there kind of move. It didn't make sense for him. And then look at what we had at that time. Max won the race, but remember that wouldn't have happened if the Mercedes crashed out. But mainly Danny Fiat just demoted to Red Bull, Toro Rosso. If Max didn't win the race in Spain, people would have this conversation well into the 2016s, probably into the 2017s, until he started pulling the results out of the bag again like he did in 2017. Because if you remember, that was his best performance in 2016 when he won that race. Or let's say that his Spain was Monaco 2016. If you remember, he crashed out in that race as well, making it obviously 2 races, 15 and 16, where he crashed in Monaco. Monaco is if you crash in that race, it just shows that you have no hand-eye coordination as a driver and you crap. So if that was his first race, then Danny Fiat wouldn't be looked over so much. People would doubt Max, and people would have this conversation long into the night of 2016. Well, because Max won the race, the boot closed. But honestly, Jordan, I don't really know why. And it rehashed itself for 4 years. So, Charlotte, you asked this question, and you've just you're gonna keep me up all night because I can't process why, and I don't know why. And honestly, yes, I do like Max Verstappen, and yes, he does deserve to be there, but he should have been replaced at the end of the year. Even Gasly being replaced after Hungary was a little bit more acceptable just because it was like the halfway point, the summer break. It wasn't, and again I agree Gasly should have had the rest of the season, but that made a little bit more sense just because it was, in the break. A little bit like, I don't know, like if you're at school or whatever and you have a change of teachers, the wait until the break. Because of course that's when, things make sense. Like one chapter closes, the other one opens. A chapter doesn't close. It actually, yes, I don't know. You know what I mean, though. Spain, just a random time. Just a random time. It's very much like when Lauda just got out of the... Do you remember when he retired for the first time and just got out of the car in the middle of a session and just told Bernie Ecclestone, I'm retiring, I don't care. I think it was during Friday FP2 or like Friday practice session back then. I was like, just a random time to retire. It was very much like that. Honestly, I will not sleep tonight. I've forgotten the original question, but we're having to go at Verstappen. We're having to go at Red Bull for not keeping Kvyat. Yes, I agree completely that he should have been given the rest of the season just to see what he was given, because I think he was on track to have a good 2016. And even if not, Max would have finished the year with Toro Rosso, probably been a bit of a stronger driver. You never know. Danny Kvyat might have bombed, or he might have done well. We don't know. We never know. And maybe if he did well, that wouldn't have made a difference. He might have still been replaced, but he would have had the rest of the season. It would have just looked better, because now, remember, Red Bull have this horrible little stigma attached to them because of what happened. Some people don't get over it, like me, Helmut Marko. So, I'm a fan of your team and I buy all your Max merch, but I'm not a fan of what you did to my Russian guy. So, yes, I completely agree with that. It should have been given the end of 2016. So, Jordan, yes, you agree with me, thankfully, same boat. But I imagine same kind of reasons, but maybe not a long rant. I don't know. What do you think? Why do you agree that Danny should have been given the rest of the season?
See, obviously, I said agree. Pretty much just elaborating on what Lyle said there. I've always asked why did they do that? Why did they demote Daniel Kvyat? And blatantly, it's to favour Max Verstappen to get him in the team. But I've always said, why didn't they do that before the start of the season? Why didn't they just announce during the winter? By the way, we're signing Max Verstappen, which still would have been confusing because Daniel Kvyat, in his first season at Red Bull, he beats Daniel Ricciardo, who's regarded as the next big thing. Yeah. He is essentially in Ricciardo's team. Ricciardo's been part of the junior program probably longer than Kvyat, I think. And of course, he's been at Red Bull for one season. He's been with Toro Rosso since 2011 rather. 2012, yeah, sorry. It was 2011 HRT. But no, he's been part of that family for a lot longer. So I would have been surprised if they had done that. But then to do it 4 races in, it was just a bit. Why? People say, because of his incidents in China and Russia, and people say, it was because of his 2 incidents. I would disagree and go, no, there's only 1 incident. China wasn't his fault. What did he do wrong in China? Russia, he went in the back of him. Fair enough. But in China, what did he do wrong? He found a gap and went down the inside. That's illegal, is it? No. What? And Seb got. I was surprised. And I quote, "That's racing, Seb."
Yep,
that's
it
racing.
Is, yeah.
It is racing. Kvyat is right. I didn't
said...
understand the situation at the time, but when you look back and watch videos and you watch season reviews over and over again, you go, "Yeah, what did Seb do wrong? Seb did nothing wrong. Kvyat did nothing wrong in China. In Russia, fair enough. Was that enough to warrant a demotion? No, absolutely no way. And even if you said there, Charlotte, Kvyat should have been given until the end of 2016. I can 100% guarantee now he wouldn't have lasted till the end of 2016. Even if he wasn't demoted by Spain, he would have been gone by Belgium. And I'll tell you why. Red Bull they'll be frothing at the mouth at the one Verstappen. But we can't kick Kvyat out. He's done nothing wrong. Let's muck up his strategy. Let's leave him out on. Let's. Kvyat, no, you went out. You crashed here. No, Kvyat, you've left you out on your tyres for too long. Look, bad Kvyat, naughty Kvyat. Get back to Toro Rosso now, Kvyat. Bring in Max Verstappen. Kind of like that theory of Kimi Räikkönen being sabotaged by Ferrari, so they can bring in Alonso and get Santander money. But that's not for this video. I think that would have happened eventually at some point with Kvyat. Even if he was beating Ricciardo, I think he would have been gone anyway. He was doomed. He was doomed from the start, if I'm honest.
Sabotage. I don't know if that would have flown, mine. I don't know if that would have flown, but sabotaging Red Bull. I tell you what, I wouldn't be a fan if I found out they did that, man. That was no way. That's why I can't be a fan of Renault after Crashgate, man. So if I found out Red Bull were doing that,
there would have been a lot of dodgy goings on in the background. Red Bull should have been the latest team to do that, but I think they've just went, I tell you what, let's just do it now. I don't to this day know officially why they did that. The proper reason, because they say, oh well, Kvyat crashed in Russia and he crashed in China. China, he did nothing wrong.
And
Russia,
also people say that Sebastian Vettel talked to Christian Horner about the move. But if you think about it, right, how would that is so stupid, because why would his opinion fly in the face of his old team principal? It's like saying, if I went to my old work right now and told the manager how to run the place, would he listen to us? Because I don't work there. And even when I did work there, he still wouldn't listen to us. I'm like, it doesn't work like that, man.
It doesn't work like that. So yeah, we've had a few good rants about Verstappen in this one so far, but I think we should move away from that and move on to the next one. Lyle, more statements, more opinions. Any more about Verstappen, or are we going to go somewhere different?
I think, yes, Verstappen is the next one. It's Verstappen is bigger than Jesus. I agree. No, I'm joking. Honestly, man. But the Kvyat one. Oh my God, honestly, man.
Calm down about the Kvyat one. Just move on.
What am I going to
do,
man?
Come on. You know how to do this, Lyle. Breathe.
I know how to breathe. Thank you. No. We're not doing the breathe thing. I know how to breathe. In and out. In and then in. Right, no, let's move on. Right. Okay, so the third statement from me, it comes in from Sam Harris. And he says, and this is on our YouTube post, he says, K-Mag will be the, in quotes, next Sainz, and put in a great season that nobody sees coming. Now, again, just firstly, before we start this, I'm a little bit confused about where he's coming from here. K-Mag will be the next Sainz. What season does he mean by K-Mag? And what season does he mean by Sainz? I'm thinking K-Mag at McLaren. I'm not sure where Sainz is, but even as a whole...
I think I know what he means. I think he means, because Sainz's 2019 season was like oh wow, here's Sainz. Like he's challenging for like the top 6. Like he came out of the blue essentially after having a dodgy 2018. K-Mag hasn't really been anywhere. 2018 was a strong year, but other than that, he's been nowhere. Yeah. So I think he's trying to say is, do you think Magnussen will all of a sudden just have a, oh my God, look at K-Mag, look at his results, like wow, that's amazing. Out of nowhere. I think that's what he means.
Got no idea. I was thinking it was something to do with McLaren, like because they were both at McLaren, but I don't know. I mean, Sainz, hardly breakout year. Now, like nobody sees coming. He was still a strong driver. One podium in 2,072 days is hardly like something that nobody saw coming. We all knew McLaren was going to get a podium from somewhere. K-Mag also, not sure, so I'm just going to wrap that one up with a disagree. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say disagree as well. And just basically saying about the whole Kevin Magnussen situation, what I said earlier. 2018 was a decent year. It wasn't exactly amazing, but in Haas it was their strongest year. Even Grosjean did a couple of good results. I mean, couple. But K-Mag had a really strong year, and that was a year where we were like, this is Kevin Magnussen, is it? But I wouldn't really say that was a standout year, essentially. Like, not like a Sainz 2019. No way. See, because, I mean, we won't know how good Haas are. Well, at the moment in time, we probably won't know how truly good Haas will be or how bad they'll be in 2020 because of what is going on, essentially, whenever we get racing. I mean, are we classing this year as like a development year? Like, oh, Haas have done well. Is that because of the break, or is that because they had a good car? They did the least amount of laps in testing. They had a big crash. They got very little data. It's not looking good. 2019 was a horrible year. So, like, they were coming off a negative 2019 into a essentially the same kind of pace 2020, but just with a back to normal livery and bye-bye creepy Santa Claus. And of course, K-Mag has got a bit of a reputation, of like a bad boy reputation, which I'm like, I can see where they're coming from. I like K-Mag. He's a good driver. He's like, he's not screaming world champion, but he's screaming he could be at the front of the midfield, essentially. Best of the rest, like with Perez and Sainz as well. Well, that's if Sainz is, it's still part of the midfield. But anyways, and of course, K-Mag, he has his days, he has his moments where he's a bit too aggressive, he's a bit too argy-bargy. That's the racer in him. He's old school. He wants to be dangerous. He wants to live like inches away from death. But the sport's moved on. I think Sainz has Magnussen has the ability. I just don't think he has the car to do that. I think 2018 was been and gone. Will he go to a top team? No. Will he be there for Haas for the next 2 to 3 years? Possibly not. Where will he go? Maybe leave to another sport. I don't really know. K-Mag is. I don't know if I'm totally honest. I'll disagree with it. He'll have a really strong season. Again, if that's your opinion. Then go for it. Then stick with that. I just can't see when it's going to be and where it's going to be and where like I said, where's it going to come from? Of course, elaborate more in the comment section below if you can help us out. But yeah, like I said, I simply can't see it. Lyle, I think you said disagree as well, didn't you? You said disagree. Yeah. So yeah, just explain why you think it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, firstly, I didn't really get, where he was coming from. Obviously, as Jordan said there, Sam, please leave.
I could be totally wrong. That's just a guess. You might be like, that wasn't my question.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Please elaborate if you're watching this, Sam, and obviously anyone else, who your opinions on what has happened. Did you mean K-Mag at McLaren, or did you mean Sainz at Toro Rosso or Renault, or again, you might have gone to Ferrari now, but we don't know, and we're keeping stum about that. We're not saying anything. We haven't just leaked anything to you. I mean, K-Mag, I'm like. I don't know why K-Mag. There's so many other drivers who could have, more standout years. And also Carlos Sainz as well. So, using McLaren as an example, obviously, for last year, most likely what you're talking about. A driver who we knew was strong, he had found his footing at McLaren. And he'd done some really, really good results. But I wouldn't say, in terms of the next Sainz, again, Carlos Sainz wasn't a standout driver. I mean, yes, he had a good year, but only good to the level of pulling out what he could out of that, McLaren Renault. It wasn't great. Yeah, obviously compared to a driver in a better car, it's not like he beat any of those. He had a good season, but kind of maybe one out of many seasons that he's been. How long has he been in Formula 1? I think it's 2014. It's like, 1 year out of all that. And actually next year, or this year even, later on this year, it might not even be a good season for Carlos Sainz. It depends on where he goes. We might be looking at the only good season he's had, which is McLaren 2019. K-Mag, he's been in Formula 1 for a very long time. He's been at McLaren, probably his best year because he probably had, the better car then. McLaren standpoint, it wasn't good. Obviously, K-Mag standards, it was quite good then. Obviously, he came from Renault, a year out, came from Renault. And obviously now found himself at Haas. Again, good lifeline for him, but as a driver, I'm just like, it's very hit and miss with K-Mag. And as Jordan said, he's got a bad boy attitude, this attitude of he deserves more. But I'm like, I don't think he should get that. He's not the best driver for me, K-Mag, and I really don't get where it's coming from. I don't think he'll be the next Sainz. I think Sainz is a good driver to go forward. But in terms of getting a breakout, I don't think K-Mag's there. I don't know what much to say about that, Jordan. I'm kind of befuddled about the question. And yeah, I disagree. I don't think K-Mag is at the level of even if we're saying at the level of Carlos Sainz, I don't think K-Mag is as good. Even if we swap it around and just make it like a Kids Love F1-esque question and say K-Mag is better than Carlos Sainz, that is a complete, because he is. K-Mag is not as good as Carlos Sainz in any way. And actually, because of what I said at the start there about Verstappen being in longer than Charles Leclerc, and of course that's why he's better. As Jordan said there, he's been in longer and he's higher on the stat board. Why? Because he's been in longer, and of course that amazing result in Spain, which again, as we've elaborated on, will never happen in the future because of the super licensing rule. You have to be 18, so basically you have to get into Formula 1 and win a race within something like half a year, which Verstappen did, which will never happen. So yes, that's why I've said that. And again, Kevin Magnussen has been in Formula 1 longer than Carlos Sainz, but that does not matter. I'm still saying, even though Carlos Sainz is younger than K-Mag, I'm still saying Carlos Sainz is better. So I completely disagree with that question, even if I've just changed your question on its head and said K-Mag is better than Carlos Sainz. That's a disagree. I think Carlos Sainz is better. K-Mag will not be the same as Carlos. No offence to you guys watching and our K-Mag fans watching. So yeah, that was my opinion, Jordan. And again, that's another rant. Not as big as the Fiat one, but that's another rant. So please give us our next agree or disagree statement. Hopefully it's a little bit more of a calmer one this time, but I don't know. I'm riled up, man. I'm pumped. I feel like I've just had a Red Bull. You know, I'm going all night.
Or rich energy. Can I
Yes.
just add that?
If
Or
K-Mac
a
is
rich
around,
energy.
yeah.
So yeah, the next one comes in from, I don't know. He's commented before. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's ASIMB0MB. That's what I'm gonna go with, because I don't know if that's like your YouTube name or anything, but that's what I've always said in my head whenever he's been part of our prediction league as well. So that's what I'm gonna go with. His question now, it's a similar but different question, if that makes any sense, to a question we had last time on Agree or Disagree. It's about Monaco. Now I think the last one was can race? I think Kirill asked this. Can races be entertaining without little overtakes like Monaco? This one is about Monaco, but not in the sense of races. It's kind of this is a statement, or is it his opinion? He says Monaco should be removed from the F1 calendar because it's pretty much impossible to overtake there. And he makes a good example, and he says in 2018 Ricciardo was able to maintain his lead despite having a wounded engine, and in 2019 Hamilton did despite driving around on dead tyres. So I think what he's trying to mean is that if Ricciardo's engine had have let him down, like if he lost the power in, let's say, Bahrain, for instance, he would have been overtaken no problem, like what we seen in Charles in 2019. If Charles had his engine problem in Monaco, Charles would have won the Grand Prix. So he's saying is that should Monaco be effectively removed from the calendar because it's a boring race, it's impossible to overtake.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I'm gonna say Monaco should to be removed. Now, I'm gonna say disagree. What are you saying, Lyle?
I'm gonna say disagree as well.
You're gonna say disagree.
It's Monaco. It's the jewel
That's
of the
the
crown.
thing.
Honestly, man.
That's the thing for me. That's why I'm saying disagree. Now, Monaco. The problem is it's not Monaco. It's the cars. That's the problem. Monaco, the track. You can't have alterations. You should make alterations. It's very difficult to do that because the layout's changed very, very, very little since its first race all the way back in 1929 when they first started racing there. Even well before the years of Formula One. And the cars are too wide. We've had some really thrilling Grand Prix there over the years. We've had some amazing races. The thing that I think one of the main reasons why it's still there is because it is Monaco. It's the challenge of you can overtake just in certain areas, and that's the challenge. That's the excitement. It is a lot harder to overtake in today's cars because they are a lot wider than what they used to be. However, when these new regs come in 2022, should we see a better Monaco Grand Prix? I think we should. I think we could. Which I think we should always keep Monaco, keep the big four. And really, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that matter. There's nothing much really to go off apart from because I disagree. I think we should keep Monaco. It's it's so unpredictable that one little mistake and you're in the barrier. That is great. Not like at these main tracks like Bahrain and Silverstone Silverstone's a brilliant circuit. But hear me out. That if you go wide, you've got every chance of coming back on the racetrack and you're fine. You might go in the gravel trap. You might get out.
Look at France. Look at France. That's the race where if you go offline, like there's no obviously yes the what is it, like blue and black, like the very disorientating kind of colours. Yes, they're obviously made a little bit stickier to slow cars down and make it a little bit more challenging to get back on. But wowee, if you're going at 200 mile an hour, that's not going to slow you down very much. And in France, Paul Ricard is the biggest example of if you run wide, who the hell cares? Exactly. That is a big example.
There's little that's the thing as well. When you're watching it, there's little room for error. It requires the best of a driver's skill. Monaco, like I said, 1 inch wrong, you're in the you're in the warrior. You're in the barrier. And the same with Singapore. I think Singapore is similar, but it's a bit more lenient. There's more runoff areas in Singapore. However, it's still a challenge, and I think we should keep Singapore. It's a good track. It's an alright track. But Monaco, it's Monaco. Great. It's a jewel of the crown. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the highlights of the Formula One season. It's I think it's the first main track we go to in terms of the big four. So yeah, I think we should always keep Monaco. It has its bad races, of course it does. But should we get rid of Silverstone if it has a bad race? Should we get rid of Spa if it has a bad race? No, I don't think we should. I just think that it's the cars that's the problem, not the track. So I think in 2022, when the cars come back in, and hopefully narrower cars and slower cars essentially, maybe we could see some good races. But we're not going to see not every race is going to be bad. No, not every race is going to be good. And I suppose that in racing as well, in Formula One, you need that element of luck. Luckily, Ricciardo's engine let him down in Monaco. Luckily, Hamilton's tyres went off in Monaco. Unluckily for Charles, his engine let him down in Bahrain. That's the look of it. That's the luck of the draw. And that's always the case in racing. Luckily it was at Monaco, or unluckily it wasn't at Monaco. That's how it is. Monaco should be on the calendar at all times. Lyle, you said disagree as well.
Yeah. Love that word, unluckily, Jordan. We're definitely going to make that a word, unluckily.
Brilliant word.
It was
amazing. Unluckily. It's going in the dictionary, people.
The main thing is I've just been saying, if you want to kind of make reference to what I said before, is Max Verstappen. I said that his first race was a Red Bull, he won. Second race in a Red Bull, he crashed. Where did he crash? He crashed in Monaco. And I remember that was a massive crash, that one. I think that was just coming out of kind of like the swimming pool chicane area. That was a massive one because it just showed like he crashed in 2015 as well. Actually, funny enough, he crashed in 2017 in qualifying. But this one was in the race. It just showed like, yes, he'd won in Spain and yes, he was the bee's knees, but he didn't have the experience to drive around Monaco. And of course, yes, as John said, it's a skill that you need. That's where the older drivers shine. That's where people like Kimi Räikkönen can do well. And Sebastian, well, actually, in terms of Sebastian Vettel, obviously going for the title, again, hot topic at the moment. That's where he's got the best chance because he knows Monaco better because he's more experienced. And you do need a very, very, firm. We've seen people crash there and really ensure their true colours. But the main thing is, and again, I'm going to keep it short and simple, it's just the iconic, race has been going since 1929. It's been on the Formula 1 calendar every single year. It's iconic. Really, there's no Formula... Well, it's a jewel of the crown. That's why they say it. It's a Formula 1 crown. It's a jewel. It'll never go. And that's just the thing. Monaco will always stay. It's what we all absolutely love to watch. Formula 1 cars going through the tunnel never happens on another track. I mean, of course, like Abu Dhabi pit lane, it does, but that's fake. Monaco tunnel, it's just amazing. It's iconic. I've been there. It really is incredible to watch. It's just like no other race. And yeah, okay, fair enough. If you don't like Monaco because of the racing, it might not be for you. Maybe you go from Spain to Azerbaijan, and even Azerbaijan's a street circuit, or Spain to Canada, or Spain to France, whatever the season says. Maybe you miss out Monaco in terms of you're thinking of, fine, this isn't going to be a good race because yes, of course, we don't see much overtaking. And yes, going back to what you said, which is of course the 2018 race where Seb didn't catch Daniel Ricciardo. Again, race I didn't like for Sebastian. I'm a Red Bull fan, but I wanted Seb to catch and beat Daniel Ricciardo because I'm like, you're in a Ferrari and you can't overtake in Monaco, but for some stupid reason you're stuck behind him. I don't get that. But that was maybe more so Seb than Rick. And of course, great fighting from Daniel Ricciardo. Definitely him and Monaco have had a strange relationship, and he finally won on that day in the fight of Daniel Ricciardo versus Monaco. Ricciardo won. So I was very happy for him that day. But yeah, no, I love Monaco. It's the glitz and the glamour. It just needs to be there. It's like, just needs to be there. A little bit like, I'm trying to think of another example. I can't. It's a bit like Jordan. There's no need for him to be there, but he's there. So we may as well just, get on with it and enjoy the ride.
What the hell?
I had to think of an example there. So yes.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry, Jordan. I love you really. So that was my example, of course.
Agree.
So the last one from me comes in from, she's called Shell or Shelly. Twitter name is Blonde Nutter. And you might be a bit of a nutter if you ask this question. No, it's actually quite a good one. I'm sorry. Her question is, they should bring back refueling. Of course, refueling on the cars taken out of Formula 1 about a decade ago now. And should it be back? I'm going to say... oh no, wait, I haven't thought of that one. I haven't thought of what I'm going to say. Refueling. I'm going to say... I've said this a lot now in this episode, but I'm going to say disagree. Joel, what do you say about refueling?
I'm going to say agree.
You're going to say agree.
Now, of course, first of all, let's get the sensible thing out the way first. It's expensive to carry fuel around the world. That's one of the main reasons why they got rid of it. And maybe because drivers would drive away with the rig still attached to the car, which was just a bit ridiculous. And yeah, it would get expensive, to repair those kinds of systems, especially for younger teams who don't have much money. It's just another thing to bring to the race. It's another thing that's expensive. It's just another problem to have. And yeah, I understand why they don't have it in anymore, and I think they stopped refueling just as we were getting into Formula One, so we don't have any real experience of watching a race whilst refueling. So in my sense of that is I want to see it back, because I want to see another headache for the strategist, another headache for the drivers, something else to think about, like, oh, he's coming for tyres, but he needs to come in for fuel. Just something else to add to the further escalating problem of a Formula One Grand Prix, and especially in today's races where you have more tyres. Like, what strategy do you go for? Do you go on softs and then have a shorter stint and then have a longer stint, or do you put big fuel in, soft tyres, coming through some new tyres and then go all the way, or whatever? You know what I mean? But I understand why they got rid of it in the first place. But from a racing fan's point of view, I would love to see it back, and I would love to see it again, add a different spice of strategies. Little fact for you as well. The last driver, or the last team and last moment a car was actually refueled in Formula One was Timo Glock, lap God knows whatever it was, at Abu Dhabi in 2009. Timo Glock in the Toyota was the last car to be refueled in a Formula One Grand Prix. For now, little stat attack for you there. Anyways, so yeah, I would personally love to see it back. Again, I know the costs. I've said that 3 times now, but yeah, I agree. I would love it back. Lyle, you disagree?
Yeah.
Why?
So, Jordan, I'm a little bit surprised at you. I really, really am, because all of the stories I've heard about refueling, and actually, just funny enough, just on a side note, because I know that they've just come out now, the reaction video form. I actually researched this extensively for an episode that I was going to do on my Forever Formula channel. Just a bit of a kind of hashtag relations, a relatable video. If you want to go and check that out, go and check that out. Forever Formula is at your service. No, so actually, I remember researching that, and that was about 4 years ago now, but I remember that. And actually, the thing that everyone that says they want refueling back, I always have one thing to say to them. It just takes time up from the track. Don't you want to see on-track action? Not them sat in the pit lane doing nothing. Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, now, of course, I know why people want it back. They don't want to see actual fuel going into the car, because obviously in those days, idea was it was 100% internal combustion engine. It ran down the fuel like a Mustang, and then just needed fuel back in again. Of course, as John said, it's a logistics, it's cost, it's carbon footprint. Of course, back in those days, a decade ago, Formula One, Bernie Ecclestone had, the environment agencies, they were attacking Formula One because of the cost of, oil and fuel, and then obviously we all have to protect the earth. Hashtag we're in it together. So we all had to kind of stop refueling. And I didn't want it back. I really, really didn't. The reason why I think people want it back is because of the delay in the pit lane. And of course, as John said, there was a few more people that had to be running about. And if you watched all of the old videos, it's always the big hose that's stuck in the car. And on a few occasions, like Felipe Massa 2008 Singapore, he drove off with the fuel thing in. I think it was Brazil 2007 or something like that. I think a fire. And obviously, of course, the most famous one, Jos Verstappen, Australia '94, I think it was, or '95. Blew up in flames in the Benetton. Of course, he was absolutely unharmed. Everyone was unharmed. But massive fire in those days, something that would have definitely thrown a red flag into this situation. But it was a 10-second pit stop. Nowadays, we see sub 2-second pit stops. Basically, the drivers don't have a time to do anything. And they're off. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, they're not even standing still. You know what I mean? If you blink too much, you miss it. Blink and you'll miss it. That's probably where it comes from. So that's why they want it back. I don't think it's so much for the fueling. It's just a slow pit stop. It's the, as John said there, it's the mind games, the strategies, the extra people in the pit lane and things like that. But it's dangerous. It's costly, of course. It's unneeded, because nowadays, of course, the 100-kilogram fuel tanks that the cars have are fine. It'll never come back. Refueling will never come back ever.
We
can wean the tanks.
I'm only saying in a dream scenario where like the V8s are back and refueling comes back in, but it'll never happen.
But that's the thing though. Even if we have the V12s back, we'll still have enough electronic things to keep the cars working, hybrid and electronics and things like that. Not at all. And even if we could have the option to bring it back, I wouldn't want it back. I really wouldn't. I like the 2-second pit stops. And yeah, Jordan, as you said there, we're missing out on the on-track action. And I thought you, of all people, would want the on-track action back. But so yeah, that's a completely disagree. for that. I wasn't a big fan of it as well. It made the cars look a bit, just naff. You had a big kind of like astronaut-like thing sticking out of the car. So no, I was not a fan, and I'm definitely saying disagree. So hit us with the final one, John. This is a good episode, good opinions, and obviously, as I said at the start there, guys, just keep them firing in. We're going to do these every week, so just keep firing them in on Twitter and on YouTube. We love them. We absolutely love them. So, Jordan, what is our final one for this episode?
So, we started off with a Max topic. It's been a really Max kind of episode, and we're going to kind of end with Max in this opinion. It comes in from Facebook, so shout out to our Facebook, which we'll have to blow off the cobwebs of that thing, but we'll still post there on a regular basis. Scott Mangan comes in with the final question. I keep saying question. Apologies if I keep saying question. Statement, opinion. And he says, Max and Lewis in a Mercedes, who wins the championship? Max, for me. So Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton have teamed up at Mercedes for 2021, let's say. They're going for the World Championship. Who would win, essentially? He's saying Max would win. Are we agreeing to that, or are we disagreeing to that? Would Max beat Lewis in a Mercedes? Dream on. Disagree.
Dream on.
Yeah,
dream
I
on
mean,
completely. Max is a good driver, but it's Lewis Hamilton. And also as well, the main thing is it's not just about those two being strong drivers. It's also about the situation, for example, because, well, firstly, Lewis going for 7. In 2021, he might have already got 7. But I tell you what, right, what we're going to do is I'm going to change this question. We're going to put a pin in this year, and we're going to say Lewis hasn't got 7, and he hasn't got 91. He's still on 6 and 84, and he's going for Michael Schumacher's records. Mm-hmm. And even if he does, he'll still be on fire and he'll still be on charge. He is established at Mercedes. Mercedes are Lewis Hamilton, and Lewis are Mercedes. Lewis is Mercedes. Yeah. He's built the team. He is the team, really. He is Toto Wolff. Toto Wolff is just a figment of Lewis's imagination. He is the real Toto Wolff. And he was Nico Rosberg. I don't know who we thought Nico was. I don't know who we think Mocky Amazing Drive is. Lewis was Nico Rosberg. Lewis is the team.
Yeah.
The team are going to give everything to Lewis Hamilton just because Lewis. I mean, like, obviously, yeah, as I've said there, at the start, say he hasn't got Michael's record, they're going to pump everything at him in, strategies, tyres, make him the number 1 and a half driver, just so he wins. And even when he has beaten Michael Schumacher's record, they're just going to keep giving him stuff because he is Lewis Hamilton. It's the most successful driver in Formula 1 at this point, let's say. He's beating Michael's record, and he's going to keep going, and there's no stopping Lewis. He's, mid-30s, I think, early-ish, actually, I don't know, I think early-ish 30s. He's still got a lot more to go. They're just going to keep giving Lewis everything, because he has the chance to basically take over the world of Formula 1. And I said that at the start as Max as a joke, but Lewis definitely does. And that's it, really. Lewis is getting everything out of the team, and there's not much for Max to give. And of course, Max is very, very young. He's been in Formula 1, 5 seasons? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be his 6th season.
Hey, loud can count. Round of applause.
I've got the cards to tell me. He's obviously not strong enough to do that. He could beat Leclerc, of course he could. He can beat Albon, and he can probably beat Sebastian Vettel, but Lewis is a different story. No, not a chance. He could beat him on speed. Lewis can outwit him mentally and physically, and he's definitely got Mercedes behind him. And of course, not at this level. Max has 8 wins. It's not a legacy at the moment. Lewis has 6, 84. He has a country and a half behind him. Max has a country, but Lewis has a country and a half behind him. He has a sport behind him. Lewis is just, honestly, at the end of the day, right, you've just got to take a step back and just, think of where Lewis is right now. He is kind of untouchable, almost, Jordan. And we're not making this a Lewis appreciation video, but sometimes it baffles us really where Lewis is.
The comment section will be a very entertaining place after this one.
So yes, definitely. So 100% disagree with that, Jordan. Yeah. You follow the same way as me. Tell us what you think. Max and Lewis going for the title in the Silver Arrows. Why is Max not going to beat Lewis?
Because Lewis is the better driver. It's easy. It's that's as simple as that. And call me biased, call me British. I keep saying that. I am British. That's a fact. Call me biased. Call me a fanboy. Call me whatever you want. I'm not bothered. It's easy to see that Hamilton he is better than Max. Now, that's not me saying Max is a terrible driver, because I explained earlier he's a really good driver. He's got the potential to be a really good driver. I rate Max. I do rate Max. I like Max. I really do like Max. In the same way I like Charles and George and Lando and everyone else, and of course big up Latifi.
All 20 drivers.
All 20 drivers. I'll just say and list them all off. I'll go into Formula 2 and Formula 3 if you want me to. But no, seriously, right, here's the thing. Right, those two are battling for the title. Hamilton has got the experience. He's got the speed. He's got the knowledge. He's got that psychological knowledge. He'll get in your head to get rid of you. He'll just whatever. All right. In 2016, he did get beat, not by much. Car let him down. You could say. I think Rosberg was mentally the stronger driver and physically the stronger driver. He took him 3, but he beat him. GG. I thought Rosberg had a better 2016 than Hamilton, and that's a fact. So look, I can doubt Hamilton. I can say bad things about Lewis. I think though, right? If you no, this isn't his opinion. This isn't Scott's opinion. But let's say, for instance, Lewis walks away from the sport. Let's say Lewis does a Schumacher. He walks away from the sport and comes back. All right. Now, if I told you back in 2006, little rookie here, Nico Rosberg, was going to beat Michael Schumacher in the same team, in the same car. Ha ha! Idiot. What an idiot. 4 years later, they're in the same car, and Rosberg beats Schumacher 3 years in a row. Why? Because Rosberg was more prepared than Schumacher. That's why. And if Lewis had walked away and then come back to the sport, I would put my money on Max. Because Lewis has been away from the sport, Max is more ready, Max is younger, Max is fitter. Lewis, he would have lost a lot of speed during that time. But Lewis is a guy who will never give up. We've seen that before. Lewis, take a prime example is Hungary 2019. Lewis pitted on the fresher tyres, 30 however many seconds it was. He just kept going and going and going and going and going. He did not give up, and he won. That is the mentality Lewis has. Max, on the other hand, he's got that quick spin, bang in the barrier. Not every race, but that's what Max is lacking in consistency. That he's getting the hang of it now, but one season isn't enough for me to say he's more consistent than Lewis. Max has got the potential to be one of the best drivers of all time. Absolutely. He's just got to be in the right car and have the right environment, and he's got to be on skill at point. He's got the skill. He just needs the right guys around him. Lewis had that. Schumacher had that. That's what makes a good champion. Lewis has that knowledge. He has that experience. Max, he's got that vibe of me, which he needs to kind of get away from. I think I'll take that back. He did have that vibe of me. Look at me, I'm Max Verstappen. I don't think he's more chilled out Max now. But for me, Lewis Hamilton I don't think he'll whitewash him. I think it'll be a close call. I think it could go all the way, or maybe go for a couple of races. And I think that relationship could boil over massively. That could be really spicy, and of course that could create loads of good debates here on our channel, and of course with fellow content creators as well. But all day long for me, it will be Lewis Hamilton. But again, if you think Max could, then stick by it. I'm not saying you're wrong in any shape or form, because unless those two are in the same car, we'll never know. It's just speculation and opinion. If you think Max would beat Lewis, then yeah, go for it. I'm not wrong, and you're not wrong neither. So that's what I'm saying with that. And yeah, I think it's been all I'll say is about Max. Lewis will beat Max no problem in the same car. Yeah, and it's been a very, very Max dominant episode, hasn't it, Lyle? As well, we've had some really good statements as well. We've had some really good opinions. I'm enjoying this series. It's good. It's going to be a good one. And of course, thank you to everyone who sent us in your opinions as well. Lyle, it's been a good one this week, hasn't it? We've got a lot of rants, and of course, I don't think you're going to sleep tonight with Daniel Kvyat, the statement that Charlotte sent in a question 2, statement 2.
Yeah, no, Danny, no, it's going to keep me up. It's going to keep me up for a very long time. It's so annoying, but that being said, though, if that thing didn't happen to Kvyat, we might not have Verstappen, and we definitely wouldn't have him winning Spain. Exactly. And just it's amazing how things work in it. But yeah, I'm not going to sleep. I might go back and watch our Trailer Place episode of 2016. I don't know why. So yes, anyway, as John said, that it's been absolutely incredible, and thank you very much to everyone who sent in your statements. I was thinking, do I say opinions or questions? Yes, statements. Everyone can have their own opinion. It's free speech if you want to, get all American. It's free speech. You can say whatever you want, and of course, as we've said there, whatever you believe, stick by. If you think Max is the greatest thing to sliced bread, you stick by. If you think Charlotte, if you think Lewis is, or K-Mag or Grosjean, whatever, we're not going to judge.
Opinion.
We might judge a little bit if you say Nicholas Latifi, but there we go. And obviously, as I say, guys, keep them coming in. We're going to post every single week. Even if you post on the previous one, we'll make sure that you are heard. And hopefully we'll get your statement on our videos. Keep on track for this in the coming weeks. In the next every single week, for the foreseeable future. It's going to be a very good one. And obviously keep on track with everything else we have coming on this channel. We have our F1 YouTubers Decoded series. Of course, our next one is the Monaco Grand Prix. It's a really good interview. You're really not going to want to miss that one. Friday Grid Monaco next week. Have our F1 debaters, of course, on the Saturday. This series and just loads more things. Obviously, hopefully, heading into the 2020 season for Austria. We're very close to getting it confirmed, and we're very close to actually starting racing, if you can believe that, guys. It's been about 3 winter breaks now. Thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. If you do like what you see around here, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are very close to 2,000 subscribers, and we appreciate every single sub from this channel. Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, we have been the F1 Debate Show, and until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys.